Basic English Grammar for ESL students, Lesson 23, Part A, Past Continuous and the question when. If you understand how to write and say present continuous, then past continuous is very easy to use. This lesson will explain how we use the past continuous tense in English. First, here's a quick review of the subject pronouns with the verb to be in present continuous tense. I am, he is, she is, we are, you are, they are, then the verb plus ing. In past continuous, am and is changed to was, and are is changed to were. I am becomes I was. He is, he was. She is, she was. We are, we were. You are, you were. They are, they were. Where are you? I am at the park. It's present tense. Where is he? He is at the park. Where is she? She is at the park. Where are they? They are at the park. Now, past tense. Where were you? I was at the park. Where was he? He was at the park. Where was she? She was at the park. Where were they? They were at the park. Present continuous. What are you doing? I am reading. What is he doing? He is playing. What is she doing? She is talking. What are they doing? They are walking. Past continuous. What were you doing? I was reading. What was he doing? He was playing. What was she doing? She was talking. What were they doing? They were walking. Past continuous tense is used when there are two actions that happen in the past and one of the actions is continuous. Here are the verbs that we're going to use. The past tense of read is read. The past tense of play is played. The past tense of talk is talked. The past tense of walk is walked. I was reading a newspaper when he played baseball. I read a newspaper when he was playing baseball. I was reading a newspaper when he was playing baseball. Now, try to answer my questions. Who was reading a newspaper when he played baseball? I was. What were you doing when he played baseball? I was reading. What were you reading when he played baseball? A newspaper. Who played baseball? He did. What did he do? He played. What did he play? Baseball. Who read a newspaper when he was playing baseball? I did. What did you do when he was playing baseball? I read. What did you read when he was playing baseball? A newspaper. Who was playing baseball? He was. What was he doing? He was playing. What was he playing? Baseball. Who was reading a newspaper when he was playing baseball? I was. What were you doing when he was playing baseball? I was reading. What were you reading when he was playing baseball? A newspaper. Who was playing baseball? He was. What was he doing? He was playing. What was he playing? Baseball. Now, here's the same information in simple past tense. Try to ask me the question. The answer, I did. The question, who read a newspaper? The answer, a newspaper. What did you read? The answer, he did. The question, who played baseball? The answer, baseball. The question, what did he play? Yesterday. The question, when did he play baseball? I was reading a newspaper when he played baseball. Or, when I was reading a newspaper, he played baseball. The answer is when. The question, when were you reading a newspaper? The answer, when he played baseball. When did he play baseball? The answer, when I was reading a newspaper. They were walking in the park when she talked on the phone. Or, when they were walking in the park, she talked on the phone. The answer? The question. When were they walking in the park? The answer? When she talked on the phone. When did she talk on the phone? When they were walking in the park. I was reading in the park when she was talking on the phone. Who was reading in the park? I was. Who was reading in the park? What were you doing? What were you doing? I was reading. Where were you reading? In the park. Who was talking on the phone? She was. What was she doing? She was talking on the phone. I was reading a newspaper when she talked on the phone. Here are the answers. Try to write the question. The answer, she did. What's the question? Who talked on the phone? The answer, I was. The question? Who was reading? I was reading. The question? What were you doing? I was reading a newspaper. The question? What were you reading? Joe was walking to the park when he saw Anne at the bus stop. There's the answer. What's the question? Who was walking to the park when he saw Anne at the bus stop? To the park. What's the question? Where was Joe walking when he saw Anne at the bus stop? The answer is Anne. What's the question? Who did Joe see at the bus stop? At the bus stop. The question? Where did Joe see Anne? Where was Joe walking? He was walking to the park. Where was Anne? She was at the bus stop. Who saw Anne at the bus stop? Joe did. Who did Joe see at the bus stop? He saw Anne. Who was walking to the park? Joe was. When did Joe see Anne? When he was walking to the park. The living room. Here are the next two verbs for more practice with past continuous. The past tense of watch is watched. The past tense of sleep is slept. I was sleeping on the sofa when my son was watching TV. I slept on the sofa when my son was watching TV. I was sleeping on the sofa when my son watched TV. Now, try to answer my questions. Who was sleeping on the sofa when your son was watching TV? I was. Where did you sleep when your son was watching TV? On the sofa. What did your son do? He watched TV. Who was watching TV? My son was. Who slept on the sofa? I did. Where were you sleeping when your son watched TV? On the sofa. What were you doing when your son was watching TV? I was sleeping. Who was watching TV when you slept on the sofa? My son was. Who was sleeping on the sofa when your son watched TV? I was. What was your son doing when you were sleeping on the sofa? He was watching TV. What were you doing when your son watched TV? I was sleeping. Where were you sleeping when your son was watching TV? On the sofa. What was your son doing when you slept on the sofa? watching TV? Who watched TV when you were sleeping on the sofa? My son did. Now here's the same information in simple past tense. Ask me the questions. I did. Who slept on the sofa in the living room yesterday? Slept. What did you do in the living room yesterday? On the sofa. Where did you sleep in the living room yesterday? In the living room. Where did you sleep yesterday? When did you sleep on the sofa in the living room? When did your son watch TV in the living room? Where did your son watch TV yesterday? What did your son do in the living room yesterday? Who watched TV in the living room yesterday? Now ask a when question. I was sleeping when my son was watching TV. The answer? When my son was watching TV. What's the question? When were you sleeping? My son was watching TV when I was sleeping. The answer? When I was sleeping. What's the question? When was your son watching TV? The kitchen. Here are the next two verbs for more practice with past continuous. The past tense of drink is drank. The past tense of cook is cooked. The cooks were cooking breakfast when I was drinking coffee. The cooks cooked breakfast when I was drinking coffee. The cooks were cooking breakfast when I drank coffee. Now, answer my questions. Who was cooking breakfast when I was drinking coffee? The cooks were. What did the cooks cook when you were drinking coffee? Breakfast. What did you drink when the cooks were cooking breakfast? Coffee. Who was drinking coffee when the cooks were cooking breakfast? I was. Who cooked breakfast when you were drinking coffee? The cooks did. What were the cooks cooking when you drank coffee? Breakfast. What were the cooks doing when you were drinking coffee? Cooking. Who was drinking coffee when the cooks cooked breakfast? I was. Who was cooking breakfast when you drank coffee? The cooks were. What were you drinking when the cooks were cooking breakfast? Coffee. What were the cooks doing when you drank coffee? Cooking. What were the cooks cooking when you were drinking coffee? Breakfast. What were you drinking when the cooks cooked breakfast? Coffee. Who drank coffee when the cooks were cooking breakfast? I did. Now, here's the same information in simple past tense. What's the question? When did you drink coffee in the kitchen? The question? Where did you drink coffee yesterday? The question? What did you drink in the kitchen yesterday? The question? What did you do in the kitchen yesterday? Who drank coffee in the kitchen yesterday? Who cooked breakfast in the kitchen yesterday? What did the cooks do in the kitchen yesterday? What did the cooks cook in the kitchen yesterday? Where did the cooks cook breakfast yesterday? When did the cooks cook breakfast in the kitchen? The cooks were cooking breakfast when I drank coffee. Now, here are the answers. Try to write the questions. The first one, the cooks were. The question, who was cooking breakfast? The next one, they were cooking breakfast. The question, what were the cooks cooking? They were cooking breakfast in the kitchen. The question, where were the cooks cooking breakfast? The next one, I did. Question, who drank coffee? And the last one, I drank coffee. The question, what did you drink? When questions. I was drinking coffee when they were cooking breakfast. The answer, when they were cooking breakfast. What's the question? When were you drinking coffee? They were cooking breakfast when I was drinking coffee. The answer, when I was drinking coffee. What's the question? When were they cooking breakfast? This is the end of Basic English Grammar for ESL students, Lesson 23, Part A. Lesson 23, Part B will be my next video. It will be more past continuous practice. Thank you for watching.